internet. Today we're going to talk about the new Anita Sarkeesian feminist frequency video, Women as Reward. So today, just before we get started, I think we should maybe just remind everybody, maybe who's watching this channel for the first time, what exactly it is that we're doing here. This is going to be a discussion, and that means just that. We're not coming to conclusions. We're just going to hash out some ideas here. Don't take anything we're saying as absolutely final. Most of our previous videos, we've discussed it quite a bit, and the following weeks we come to change our opinions, evolve our opinions. The same thing will most definitely happen here as well. So please take this as more like just throwing some ideas around and each of us trying to get a better grasp on what's going on here and what we like and we don't like in the individual arguments.
And of course, Barris, we greatly encourage you to take part in the discussion by leaving comments and your ideas on what we thought, what we might have missed out on. We do actively respond to comments, and so please jump in.
Yeah, but we can turn those comments off in a second. You're totally not entitled to those.
Don't you start thinking you are.
I see. You see how we do this good cop, bad cop routine here.
All right. Well, thank you for offering us a transition, Dustin.
No problem.
Let's move on to Anita Sarkeesian's Women's Reward video.
Yay! Plus DLC content.
That's right. Plus DLC content. I downloaded it through YouTube. Well, let's get started. Let's just get a little groundwork set. Let's just talk about what we think Anita is trying to say in the video. And do you guys have anything you want to start with, or I could just start us off here a little bit?
I don't know. We've used so many metaphors, and people already have so many metaphors to talk about what she's trying to say. I mean, like, you talked about the donut metaphor,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, how about this is I don't know, new metaphor? Maybe this doesn't work so well. Tell me if this new metaphor works or not, and tell me what's wrong with it. So, I guess giving a most generous interpretation to Anita that I possibly can. Basically, what she's saying is something like chemistry, right? It's kind of like that. In other words, society is made of these pre-existing kind of chemical substances, right? And by introducing kind of, I don't know, either other chemicals that it can reinforcement or other. Oh boy, this is already not working. Both, like for example. For the chemical reaction to be dangerous, or for the chemical combination to be dangerous, both chemicals have to be present, right? Basically, the already pre-existing societal prejudice and the media representation of that prejudice, right? And that usually these are so diluted that it doesn't create a problem, but for some people, it can be a dangerous combination, right? This is such a terrible metaphor already, but I mean, like. I guess what I mostly want to say is that, like, I get the feeling that she thinks that, for example, in this one it's all about entitlement. But I mean, in a lot of the comments, even on Reddit or other places, were kind of to the effect of, well, look at how men aren't treated this way. But I think her opinion is that even if men were treated this way, it would still be a problem for women to be treated this way. Right? Because the idea is that in society there's already this idea, or she thinks this is a sexist idea in society, that women are there to be looked at, whereas that doesn't exist for men. So men could be thrown up in video games as, I don't know, objects to be looked at and gazed at all the time, whereas any kind of representation of women bears the possibility of being mixed with this pre-existing idea and taken the wrong way. Right? So, I mean, it can't simply be that there's not equal representation of kind of sexualized characters, that there's a pre-existing kind of dangerous ghost kind of lingering over society, and that's the ghost of, I guess, what she would call the patriarchy, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I agree. I think there's definitely this historical situation that's always going to be sitting in the background, no matter how at least for her anyway, like no matter how equal you'd set these characters up, for her it would still lead to a more dangerous situation when it concerned representations of women because of this.
Yeah, and I guess the least well fleshed out your woman character is, the greater the possibility is that it will feed into these other pre-existing bad elements in society. And I guess this is her claim, right? I mean, dumping my crappy metaphor. I mean, I guess this would be my most generous interpretation of her. Am I missing something, or?
All right, you said this would be the most generous possible one. Yeah, I'm kind of along there as far as, yeah. I mean, if you give a really wide good girth to what she's saying, yeah, I think so. Like,
Well, I mean, the reason why I call it generous is because I have to add the word that it's possible.
Yeah.
That for example, these representations of women would be connected to this other one, right? I mean, the question's always going to arise, like, well, she thinks that it's just directly connected. Well, I mean, we don't know that, but I mean, giving her the best possible argument on her side, I guess the thing is, well, these people exist, and it's possible that they will be either reinforced or it will foster a sense of entitlement for these people. That's kind of my most generous interpretation, I guess.
Yeah. All right. I like that too. And you know, in this one, she actually brought up about, you know, toward the end of the video, she brought up this like list of examples of things, you know, like this like catcalling, or, you know, send me some nudes, or, you know, tits or GTFO, right, or all this stuff.
Demanding sex after dinner.
Or expecting sex after dinner, right? That was it. Like this list of things that, you know, happens quite a bit. Well, all right. Each one's going to vary, but this stuff does happen, and these people do exist, and they are a problematic group of people.
Yeah. So I guess the idea is we're trying to get into their heads a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
We're trying to see what's going on up there a little bit and what would feed into that. Yeah, so I mean, like, given that general kind of, I don't know, very nice interpretation of what she's going after here, I guess. Just don't feed into the monster that's lurking in the background, that's haunting society, or at least be careful of feeding into it. And if that's all she's really trying to say, if that's what she's saying, like, well, just be aware that this could possibly feed into a bad idea. And if that's it, I am actually not that against that.
Yeah. No, if that's what she's trying to say, if she's just saying, you know, be aware that this stuff is out there, be aware that, like, somebody with that kind of skewed perspective on things could take this as you know, something he'd use to, I don't know, like, say, oh, look, I'm normal, or something like that. I mean, this guy starting with this skewed perspective. Totally, yes, I would be completely in agreement with that. I mean, it's possible he could interpret it that way very easily. But, like, I don't know. This is where it's going to start coming down to, it's about how these games are approached, though. Who's coming at them and how they're coming at them, and less about how the game is going to affect you per se.
Yeah.
Right. That's a lot of the weight's going to be centered on the people coming into the game, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Or I don't know. I mean, isn't part of the problem here just the fundamentally open nature of art?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I mean, it's always open to a possible headcanon that could explain away any kind of trope that would be possibly negative to. Like, I like what you said when you said, what is her name? That Leanna...
K or something? Yeah.
K or something. And she, in her headcanon about Princess Peach and Mario, right?
Yeah.
That, like, she's explained away kind of the fact that the Princess Peach is just kind of sitting there waiting to be rescued, and she's got a whole story behind that she's made up all by herself, right? Well, yeah, I mean, this interpretation certainly is possible too.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's always possible, and if you are doing that, if you're filling in the gaps with, I don't know, more appropriate headcanons, I guess.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, There's nothing in Mario that says it has to be interpreted in one way and only one way.
Yeah.
So it's definitely possible to escape that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Actually, it just wow, and it's getting into weird territory here too. But like, it really does. A lot of it is like, what kind of headcanon or how are you interpreting some of this stuff away? I mean, Mario just is the example. It's just so. I mean, Mario doesn't really help you very much. The game Mario doesn't really help you get into Peach's head. Well, she bakes cakes, I guess. I know that, but it doesn't really help you in other areas. So the inside of Peach's head is very, very, very open for interpretation, which allows for very problematic interpretations, also.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to be like, we're already at such a level of distraction that this argument could apply to every single one of her videos, right? We're not even touching on the entitlement trope that she's talked about here yet. We're just discussing the fact that, like, anybody with a screwed up kind of mentality or could be interpreting these games in a certain way, and some of them lend themselves more easily to being interpreted in a very negative way.
Yeah.
Some of them almost outright tell you to. Some of them kind of just leave the door open for you. So I guess maybe we're starting at a pretty high level of kind of abstraction here. So you want to actually talk about the video?
Yeah, I just want to throw in one thing. Maybe I'll make myself some enemies here, which is I don't know, when I read the online discussions and stuff, one thing that I just cannot agree with at all is when people jump in and say, why would anybody attack Anita? She's just saying her opinion. That's just what she likes, and that's all she's saying. I don't know. I think if that's the case, if it's just Anita's opinion, is like the whole thing has just been the whole debate has really just been a debate between like vanilla ice cream and chocolate ice cream, then this is just silly, right? This is just, I mean, I think by doing that, some of these people try to come to her defense by saying this, and it seems like you're just gutting the whole debate by saying this is just a debate. So for the longest time, gamers have been eating vanilla ice cream, but Anita likes chocolate ice cream, and like we vanilla ice cream lovers won't let her chocolate ice cream loving in. That doesn't work for me at all, and I just whenever I see it online, I'm kind of like, really? Yeah. Is this what people are thinking when they're watching these videos? Like, oh, same as pizza and pasta. Some people like pizza, some people like pasta, some people like both.
I mean, like, okay, let's just talk about critics then. Let's just rebut some critics here. I'm sorry, Sargon. But remember, Sargon did his little, very long 4-hour video, and then he also did a small 7-minute video where he took Anita's definition of male entitlement. And then he changed that word to female entitlement. And he just said, oh, look at that. You could just put the word female there, and that's a good description of, feminists. Female entitlement is the conviction that they're owed something by virtue of their gender, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay. I mean, like, I just feel like at this point where the discussion isn't even happening, right? Sargon has just jumped right over the possibility of discussion. He's just automatically dismissed Anita's claims as even having possibility of validity, right? This is the perspective of someone who sees Anita as completely wrong already, and sees her basically as a kind of, I don't know, manipulating scam artist that doesn't even really even believe her own claims, because Anita is making a kind of a moral argument, at least a little bit here. So, I mean, for her, it's not about just preferences. Like, that's why Sargon thinks it's a bunch of preferences only, because he sees it as, like, it's just absurd. So all this is just her whining that she wants chocolate ice cream, basically, as opposed to the vanilla that she's getting at the store. That's what he sees. He's like, well, what are you, baby, whining about your vanilla ice cream? Or now you're not getting chocolate ice cream and you're getting vanilla. Buck up. Right, but that comes from perspective of already having dismissed Anita completely already. So he's just jumped right over this argument already. He's basically said no. This is just a bunch of whining, and all the arguments are illegitimate.
Yeah, I mean, it guts the whole thing, though. It carries really no real weight beyond, like what am I going to have for dinner tonight, pizza or pasta?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like he sees her arguments in that way, and I don't know. I guess maybe in his mind he's already refuted them, and he's already dismissed her so many times, and Thunderfoot has, and whoever has, that there's no point in taking this seriously. So it's just a bunch of selfishness, right? These selfish feminists always wanting their chocolate ice cream. You know, buck up and have your vanilla. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a great way.
Or if you don't like it, go make some chocolate ice cream yourself.
Right? Go make it yourself, right? I mean, it doesn't seem like a very productive way to have a discussion. How about that? That'd be my generous reply to Sargon. This is not the way to start a discussion, at any rate. Maybe he just thinks that it doesn't matter. It's just to him it's settled. This is just a settled issue.
Yeah. I mean, this conclusion is based on a lot of presuppositions that we'd have to discuss, but it's already at that point when it's just
preference.
It's just preference. When we're at the level of preferences, it's all, we've already finished all the arguing. It's already done, right? So I don't know, if you wanted to say something, I'd have to hear something more fundamental level of argument here before I could go along with him on that.
Yeah. So I don't know. When I see that argument, all I see is just basically a broad dismissal of their claims, and that's it, right? Like, well, you just want them to do that, right? All you do is you're just saying, it's like a reduction of morality to yay and boo.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you say like this is morally wrong, all you're saying is boo, and that's morally right. All you're saying really is yay.
Yeah.
I mean, this. Do you really want to reduce the argument down to that? I guess I hate that moral reductionism. I can't stand that in theories of morality. So I don't know. But hey, maybe he feels he's rebutted her in other places. I'm sure he has. He's tried in other places. So I don't know. I just didn't find that to be very helpful or interesting.
Me too. Yeah. That 7-minute video, I don't know. There's nothing I could do with it, really.
Yeah, well, he's done better stuff than that. He's better than this. He's not that. It was ridiculous.
I agree. I couldn't. Yeah, that video did nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. I just kind of passed right by, and I was like, well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, in contrast to that, No Plums and Thunderfoot's videos were actually much more interesting than that.
Yeah.
They actually presented. No Plum actually had 4 arguments. Like Thunderfoot had, mixed with a bunch of comedy, he had 1 or 2 arguments.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about those, or you want to talk about the video more, like Anita's claims herself about entitlement.
Well,
I don't know.
I guess let's just start in kind of weird territory then. Like in Thunderfoot's video, one of the things he said was basically, yeah. Let me just jump in with Thunderfoot because I think this will help lead us other places. One of the things he said basically was, or he tried to make fun of was, well, if games do have this secret power to influence us, especially when we don't think they can, then why isn't Anita like? Why hasn't she become Duke Nukem?
Yeah, right. I guess the argument it has to be like. Games teach us how to interact. Anita says games teach us how to interact in the real world.
Yeah.
If this is so, then Anita should be influenced by these games. She is not. Conclusion, games don't have the influence she says they do. And then he also kind of adds that games are too ridiculous to be taken seriously. I think there's an answer to this, though.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it just... If you're taking games like or need to be arguing games as though they're like something that kind of like zap inside of your brain and take control of you, like a monolith in 2001 or something, and they teach you how to make bone tools and kill other monkeys or something. But I mean, I guess the long and short of it is like Anita has a background in feminism, right? She has a background in feminism, and this is the reason why she's not become Duke Nukem, right? I mean, if there is an answer to this question, why hasn't Anita become Duke Nukem? The answer is because she read a lot of feminist texts, right? And she's coming at it with a perspective of feminism, and that's enough. That's all you need. It's nothing all that magical, really. she doesn't buy what the games are saying, or if what she thinks the games are saying anyway. And I don't know. I think it really is. I don't know. When I say it, it sounds so simple, but I really think that's it. That's the long and short of it. Education, just education on a couple of topics like this, and that's all you need, really. I don't know. Unless I don't know. Maybe Thunderfuck will be like, well, but she said those who think they aren't affected are the ones most likely to be affected. Well, okay, but still, I think it's enough.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone that goes back and says, well, why is it then that Anita can say things like games? You have to watch out for sexism in games, as opposed to watching out more for murdering cops in Grand Theft Auto, right? I mean, like, that was one of the things Thunderfoot makes fun of, and others too. Is like, well, games.
Kind of No Plum actually brought this up at the end.
This is one of
his
No Plum's arguments too.
I mean, I guess the only thing I think about that is, and I think it's a real legitimate point to bring up. I really do. I guess the only thing is, like, back in that last video that we had, it was kind of way at the end. But I mean, I really think there's quite a bit of societal buffer behind violence. There really is. Like, the idea that violence is a good thing is thoroughly attacked quite a bit in culture and media and education. I think if Anita were going to come back with this, she'd just say, well, there's just simply not enough education about these topics.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, and I don't know. I don't see any other possible answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, if I were trying to be Anita here and answering, that would be it. I mean, it's that people are. Okay, I don't know how true this is, that they're taught more often that violence is wrong, but they're not taught as often that sexism is wrong, right? I mean, that would have to be her response, right?
Yeah.
It's just a lower level of awareness of one as opposed to the other, even though I think we do have our share of violence too, by the way. And we're sure happy to do violence to people that are not living in the United States. And more than happy to do that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we can't see those people.
Well, yeah, if we can't see them, well.
Then we don't have to think about them.
That's no big deal, right? Yikes. So, I mean, that would be her answer, I think. Jesse? No?
Wow, you're, like, totally muted. Are you muted?
I can't hear
you.
I believe he has told us that he completely agrees with Gamergate, and he is now very angry. And
he's rage quit. He just rage quit.
Yes, he rage quit.
He could not take this conversation. Oh my god. And
okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was wondering if that was going on because I tried to jump in several times.
All those times we were just ignoring you. It was just the last time.
Okay. I was wondering about that one too. So, yes. But of course, even when we're going back to the violence versus sexism thing, I mean, we talked about this in our first video when we had Linda. No, and it was very. What Dustin said was the hurdle for an act of violence to be condonable is a lot higher than the hurdle for being, dismissive towards a woman's accomplishments, for example. And we also, we have very clear cut guidelines at where violence begins and where it ends. Where it begins and ends. Whereas with sexism, we don't necessarily know that.
That's what we're arguing about a lot of times, right? We don't know the boundaries.
Yeah. And without those boundaries defined, I could say, I'm not sexist. I just think, women should stick to certain roles. This is where other people, actually a lot of people would say, that's the very definition of being sexist. Whereas, I know I'm not being violent because I'm not punching you in the face right now. That's a pretty obvious distinction.
Yeah. I think maybe part of this, what we're doing here, is kind of gaining a hold on what is counting as sexism, what isn't, right? We're engaging in that now.
Yeah. So it seems a lot of the criticism of Anita, the attacks, are people refusing to accept her definitions. Which, of course, we shouldn't accept her definitions without critically analyzing them. But we see people who, when she uses the word patriarchy, for example, they say that's not patriarchy. What's going on in Africa and the Middle East, that's patriarchy. This isn't, Mr. Repzion had his huge stint where he defined violence that is against a woman versus violence against women. He went on this whole defining stick on that because he didn't want to accept her definition of violence against women.
Yeah.
So, all right. I mean, I don't know if it pays to go through Anita's entire video. I mean, I do have things to say about little bitty things to say about everything she says, but we've done our share of nitpicking already. I mean, might as well just show our hand here. I mean, I think a generous interpretation of Anita can be taken for quite a long way, right? I mean, I'm not quite sure. I mean, if you take it to simply be be aware of the possible misuse of possible interpretations in games, I don't know. Is there anything really to get up in arms about that? Maybe this can possibly be interpreted as something not good about women, right? It's possible, right? So, be careful. Be careful about that. I don't know. I'd say that's, I don't know. Why would you be angry about that?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is, I don't know. I think people take this to be advocating something much larger than that. And if you were to place it,
the elimination of these problematic aspects. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like even this word problematic is debated online all the time. What does she even mean by the word problematic? Does that mean if something is problematic? Does that mean it's immoral? Because if something's immoral, we have to get rid of it. And then that would entail getting rid of these games.
But I mean, right? As far as I can, at least as far as I understand, or at least this is what my position would be, something like the fact that it's impossible for the game itself to be problematic alone, right? Like the game itself, just alone, it's not. It could never be, no matter what it has in it.
Yeah, right. I mean, this context, this surrounding context.
Right. The only thing that makes it a problem is the surrounding context. That's it. The game itself alone could never be a problem.
Yeah, Martians aren't going to get sexist ideas from Replay.
Yeah, right, yes.
Yeah, I mean, they just kind of be like, oh, okay, what are strange things humans do?
So, I mean, but I do think people, I don't know, when you put it that way, people feel like maybe that a lot of the core of the argument has disappeared, or they don't take it that way. It's more along the lines of Anita's advocating for the elimination, if possible, the elimination of any of this kind of sexy women or naked ladies in my games, right?
Yeah, so I mean, let's just take up Noel Plum's argument, his initial argument in the beginning of his video. I thought it was interesting. I like Noel Plum quite a bit.
Me too.
I find him to be really reasonable and fun to watch. And hey, I'm down with Noel Plum. So might not agree with him all the time, but I like him. So his argument in the beginning, his first argument ran something like this. It's interesting, actually. Defenders claim that Anita is not trying to censor anything, just making it more inclusive and more representative of a larger populace. But he says, but if this is true, isn't an Easter egg a good way to keep games inclusive and yet at the same time cater to people that enjoy sexualized content? because the content is available only to people that go out looking for it, right? So this solution is not acceptable to Anita Sarkeesian because others still can have this sexualized content. So conclusion, Anita does want to take away content via pressure on games developers. Is kind of how this ran.
The question is, you say that, okay, we can have the sexualized content like cordoned off, so that only people who are interested in the sexualized content
can look at it.
That's, I think, problematic simply because to a lot of people who play video games, I think there's kind of a completionist mentality you take into these, especially in the way games are structured nowadays. So, people, even if I'm not interested in that content per se, if I want to experience the whole game, I'm going to go looking for it.
I actually agree with Noel there, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I think he's right. I think he's totally right that this is a good way to be more inclusive. In fact, I think it's a pretty ideal solution. The people that want to go look for it still can go look for it, and the people that don't want to see it can keep it hidden if they don't want it. However, I guess what I'd have to say back to Noel is this still doesn't invalidate what Anita's saying. It's still possible for those people that watch the extra content to get the wrong idea. So those people still have to be aware.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's actually an ideal solution. I think he's right, except he just doesn't see the other aspect of it.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he's taking Anita's argument to be something a little more, with a little bit more meat than, maybe he might say a little bit more meat than what you're giving, which is, and which I agree. This is actually where I'm coming from at this too, is simply that we need to be aware that these problematic interpretations, these problematic readings, these problematic ways of looking at the games are there. Some people come at them that way, and that's it. We just need to be aware of that, and if we're aware of that, then I don't know. We've been educated, and hopefully we've been partially inoculated against some of the effects. I mean, a conscious awareness is not going to inoculate you against all the unconscious effects things have, but I think it's a great starting point to just be aware that that this way of looking at things or interpreting things could be harmful to people.
Yeah, if you take it out of fantasy.
Right, exactly. If you move out of fantasy.
Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm being too generous to Anita here, but today I want to give her the most generous interpretation possible. I mean, I don't know. Maybe in her dark corner, she's sitting in the corner scribbling "censor, censor, censor," like, I don't know, Mikami in Death Note or something.
She's got her censor note, right? She writes games. She's gonna be the god of the new gaming world.
Generalized censor. Right. I mean, I it'd be a pretty hilarious picture, actually, but I don't know. In this generous interpretation, that would be the only response I could give Noel that would satisfy me. If Anita doesn't like it, wow, I don't know. I just want to be. That was my response anyway to Noel. I don't know what else anyone would have to say. So I thought Noel's argument was interesting, and when it does come to being more inclusive and representative, I think this is actually a good solution. So if Anita's like, no, it can never even be there, even in Easter eggs. If she actually said that, I would say, well, no, that doesn't seem appropriate. I mean, like, and I guess it's because his next argument is going to be a little more interesting, right? Noel's next argument is, I don't know, what do we call it? The desire for naked ladies argument. I believe is actually really interesting. So I thought he had a lot of good points that kind of come back to what we were talking about earlier. Is, I guess his next argument runs something like this. According to Anita, desire for sexualized content is caused by the same things that lead to rape, assault, and harassment. But he says, but this is not how other desires are explained. He said, for example, like watching cooking shows, it's explained by the fact that you like food. Liking wildlife programs is explained by the fact that you like wildlife, and liking Top Gear is explained by the fact that you like cars. So when you enjoy watching naked women's bodies, why is that not explained by the fact that you like nude bodies, right? I mean, why is this tortured kind of explanation tacked on here? Why can we assume that people have entitlement just because they like sexualized clothing? Anita does not get fashion entitlement for looking at clothes. People don't collect digital cars because they feel entitled to them. Therefore, there's no need to reference some complex and problematic reason to explain this conclusion. We have no reason to think that the motivation of a rapist or batterer is the same as that of someone who likes sexualized characters. Rapists and gropers may feel entitlement, but why assume that gamers do? Again, I like most of this. What do you think of this? In other words, we don't have to assume. Why are we assuming that this dark desire is...
I agree. I'm maybe I'm on the same page as you. I do agree with large chunks of it. We don't have to assume that people must be coming at these things this way. They could be coming at things this way, but they don't have to be by any means.
I agree here too. There's no reason.
Yeah.
Jesse.
I was just saying the problem then goes back to what we said. Again, there are people who do have this attitude. These people need to be aware of how they could be having this attitude, so they can keep themselves in check or prevent themselves from having it reinforced.
Yep. That would be, again, my response. Noel here basically is like, well, actually, we don't have to assume that that's the motivation for liking naked bodies at all. In fact, I don't, in general, assume it. I mostly assume, oh, you like looking at naked ladies. Yeah, I get that. I get the reason. But the fact that, it's possible that it's linked up with a lot of very dangerous, formerly existing or presently existing ideas that are floating out there, and, watch out. Watch out. It could be linking up to something creepy kind of hovering out in the distance. Well, if that's what she says to me, well, yeah, I mean, enjoy your naked ladies, but, just realize that, this could be linking up with some bad desires, even subconsciously in yourself, maybe, that you didn't realize you have. And so kind of watch yourself outside of the fantasy world. Fine, okay, sure, I'll do that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I hope people do that regularly. I hope they do. Yeah.
We already did that?
Yeah. I hope most of us already do that. We try to watch ourselves, right?
I think it's odd because it seems like there's resistance on this field for people to accept this, whereas somebody might say, listen, man, if you're watching only Holocaust movies, that's cool. Oh, but just think about why you're watching only movies about the Holocaust.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful. You might be Hitler.
Yeah.
Have you looked in the mirror recently? Did you notice that? Okay.
Associating either what the political ideas does or enjoying the suffering aspect of it. If you're having a fascination with, this conversation could be had. The guy who watches only Holocaust.
Yeah, I mean, when I watch horror films, I recognize that part of me does enjoy people being killed brutally. Right? Yeah. I do enjoy seeing people being brutally killed.
Or they have little revenge fantasies built into them and stuff. I love revenge stories, by the way. I think revenge stories are some of the most interesting stories out there. But I also don't think it's a good idea to take revenge. But I mean, it's just this, having this awareness that maybe some things you enjoy in fiction are not so great outside of that. Okay, that's it. I don't know. It's starting to sound really shallow. I'm sorry, but
yeah,
it's kind of where I am, though. That's about as far as I take it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I maybe Anita is stronger than this, but I'm only taking it this far, and it seems to be a pretty generous interpretation. I feel like we're being generous to her, and I think it's not a crazy interpretation.
Yeah, only because sadly the DLC episode kind of puts a couple of nails in this interpretation. Some of the things she says there does seem to imply a more critical stance.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, she's always walking that line, and I'm waiting for the moment whenever she crosses it, and then, I don't know, I'm going to have to start backing off, right? I don't know. But, I don't know, that's why I kind of agree with Noel's feelings about Easter eggs, and I'm sure he would say DLC after watching the latest episode. I'd actually kind of say, well, that's kind of an ideal situation, honestly. If you don't want to see that content, you don't have to. And if there's people that enjoy fantasizing about it, or even reducing some of these characters, I don't even know. I don't really honestly think that's what they're doing sometimes, is reducing them totally to objects. But if they want to see their favorite characters sexualized and don't carry that over in a negative way to real life, I don't care.
I actually, when I thought about it a little more, I'd say the fact that this DLC exists is almost proof that you're not just reducing the women to like sexual objects. And I can see naked women all I want on the internet. I can see women scantily clad women all I want on the internet. The fact that I want to put this character in a certain outfit and I'm willing to either work if it's unlockable or pay if it's DLC for that privilege, which shows that I do have. There is some appeal in that character that transcends their sexuality.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, and like maybe we mentioned this before we went on the air, but I don't know, this kind of not either or attitude, but a yes and attitude towards towards sexualization, right? Like in that, what I mean by either or is like either I take her seriously or she's sexualized. We can't have both. I don't know. I think we can have a both and, right? She's both an interesting character and she's sexualized, and I mean,
how is Black Widow not like this? I mean, like, it seems like she's kind of a well-loved character by some people. I mean, I don't know how I feel about Black Widow, but she certainly got a sexy outfit. And, people do like her character. So, is Black Widow not an example of a character that's sexy? I mean, she's got the zipper down just so you can see her, cleavage. So, I mean, come on. And she's got the skin-tight outfit, too. So, I mean, as a character, people love her. So, I think that alone proves right there, yeah, it's possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't buy this kind of, like, well, putting... I don't know. This is where, again, we're going to end up nitpicking Anita. Right? Like, well, okay. You put the costume on her, but does that reduce her totally to, like... she's just this kind of sex bunny play toy now, right? And you don't care anything about her other than her jiggly parts. Really? Really? Is that the feeling you have? I mean, like, I don't know.
It falls down to this, like, I guess you could.
You could.
You could, right? Some people do. I'm sure some people do. But
yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. This is part of me, has this kind of weird feeling that, like, well, I mean, you would just lose interest in that, right? I mean, like okay, today the Young Turks had this interesting video about, like, will sex robots replace women?
I was gonna watch that one. I haven't watched it.
Interesting, right? But I guess, like, well, sex robots will. Sex robots could possibly replace masturbation, because that's basically what they are. They'd be just a really, really advanced form of masturbation, right? But ultimately, I think what people want is the desire. They desire desire.
Mm-hmm.
right? Ultimately, people desire desire. They desire the other's desire, right? Like what you look for in your loved, the beloved, is that she desires you, right? But can you get that feeling out of a robot, knowing that it's been programmed to love you, right? You want the beloved to freely desire you. You desire her free desire for you, and can that be replaced with something you know is a robot? No, I don't think it really can. So, like, it just kind of tells me that, well, you really don't want 100% objectified things, right? I mean, what would be the point of if you said you would never want a woman that's totally an object. You always want a little bit of a human. That's what's interesting, right? The fact that you've got power over something real, right? Like, that's the interesting thing. Like, that's why people, it's more of a masochist, sadist thing than anything else, right? I mean, what would be the point? Then if all you're interested in was picking on objects, you could just, smash glasses all day. What's interesting is that they're still a little human, right? You still want that little bit of humanity there. Otherwise, it's just not interesting at all. Then there's just sticks and trees and I don't know, other things in the world, right? It would cease to be interesting.
Trying to find your copy of Being in Nothingness down there.
I mean, like, I don't know. I was thinking a lot about this because a lot of this kind of centers around this. I mean, I don't know. It's always a difficult question, like when you ask, like when someone that loves you asks, "So why do you love me?"
Yeah.
Right. And then but the second you give a reason, they're always like, "Well, if I wasn't like that, you wouldn't love me then." And you kind of want this kind of non-existent, like I like you.
Yeah.
like
because you're you, right?
Because you're you, right? I want your desire for me, right? It's always a kind of, I don't know, where do you place that object of love or desire, right? It's this kind of floating concept that it's hard to pin down to one aspect of the person. But anyway, we're going way off topic.
Way off topic here, yeah.
So anyway, sorry for that. So we talked about Noel's kind of fourth argument, which is kind of
why,
like he says it's morally repugnant that she would be concerned with sexism when there's murder it's a murder simulator. It's people, by the way, in Japan that legitimately believed that for a short time, that games were basically murder simulators and that they have to ban them all. They called it Game Brain, and and then
I
it was
remember Game Brain. That was
Game Brain. I saw the guy that created Game Brain in the lecture. I hated him. I hated his guts. He was a total fraud. And of course, in a couple of years, it was dismissed as junk science. And they write these books in Japan about junk science, right? They're funny books, right? And then they go through this junk science. And I laughed the day his book started to be listed as famous junk science. So, good. All right. So now we can jump past, because we talked a little bit about Noel's argument over there and our response to it. And then finally, he has what I think is his most interesting argument. It's the smallest argument in here. It's a mini argument when he says that she's got it 180% backwards. This is interesting, I think. He says, premise one is virtual representations are poor substitutes for real things. To accept this substitute implies that you do know that you don't have any entitlement to the real thing. You know your status. This applies to women's bodies as well as to cars or whatever you get in the game. The fact that you're satisfied with the virtual representation of it kind of shows that you kind of do already know that you don't deserve it. I guess this works to a certain extent. Some people don't, but I think this is the most interesting. What do you think about this one, that she's got it backwards?
Oh, me too. Actually, I don't know. I found this the most interesting part of the whole thing. That the idea that maybe he liked his virtual garage in Gran Turismo. The idea that you'd be happy with a virtual garage and not run out and start stealing cars is just because there's a very self-evident truth, right? That it's self-evident to you apparently that you don't deserve a big lot of cars. You might want a big lot of cars. You might really, really want a big garage of cars, but you don't feel like you deserve one, so you just play a game and pretend. No, I like this. I like this argument quite a
I think
bit. I don't have any problems with it.
Yeah, I don't really either. I think this is the most interesting.
Yeah, my only thing is that you'd have to argue that Anita's not talking about direct entitlement. I mean, like direct transition. Like when a lot of people like bring up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. One of those examples she brings where whoever kicked the most ass in the stage gets a kiss. Obviously, somebody's not going to play this game and think, okay, if I go out and beat up a bunch of people, well, a woman will give me a kiss. It's not that direct a transition.
Of course, it has to be Foot Clan, Jesse.
Okay, well...
If you beat up on a Foot Clan, then a woman will give you a kiss. Oh wait, that's not what I'm supposed to get from that?
Well, maybe if the Foot Clan existed, that might... But the point is, it's not this literal translation. But there is the risk that I could think, okay, if I prove myself to be because if by kicking ass you prove yourself in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being the highest score, you prove yourself to be the better player, which entitles you to the kiss in the game. I thought maybe I might begin to think if I am able to prove myself to be the better man and to be the perfect gentleman, and then I would be entitled. Well, I wouldn't think entitled, but I might think by being the better man, and that means women's affections will be directed towards me. It's I would see it as a cause and response relationship.
Mm-hmm. Actually, yeah, I do. Oh boy, should I go there? Do I want to take? Do we want to go here at this juncture, or should I wait about my?
We don't want to spend too long on this video. We're gonna keep it under an hour, right?
That's true. All right. So
I think you might be in trouble with that already.
We're coming close. We're coming close.
Okay. So I mean, okay. Well, let me just throw something out there. I mean, I guess if we're all going to be armchair psychologists,
yeah.
let me sit on my armchair and psychologize a little bit myself. I just think it would be, I mean, just like, I think the three of us are really close to the same page in the sense that there's something like, maybe for something like the women as reward trope to be harmful, there needs to be a certain number of conditions in the background, kind of set in the background. That when you mentioned your metaphor of chemistry that you don't like anymore.
Well, it was just poorly worded. I like the metaphor. It's from Nietzsche anyway. Nietzsche made a great metaphor. It's just terribly worded, and I apologize for that.
So the things that create the chemical reaction, the dangerous chemical reaction. What if I were just going to armchair psychologize and say, what if just as a kind of heuristic, something along the lines of what's known in social psychology as the just world hypothesis. We're kind of lurking in the background here. And that's the music cue. That's the music cue.
Okay, we're off, people.
Dun, dun, dun. And maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to... do I get background music for this?
Oh, fuck. I know what's going on, sorry.
Yeah, this is like a sign from the universe or something.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's a sign where you should stop our video. What if something like the just world hypothesis were happening in the background? And when I say as a heuristic or something like the just world hypothesis, let me just read something off of rationalwiki.org. When I say the just world hypothesis, I mean the hypothesis in social psychology. It says something like this. They say the just world hypothesis hypothesis, also known as the just world fallacy, is the idea that all actions have predictable and just consequences. So the hypothesis implies, although sometimes only subconsciously, a belief in some sort of universal force that ensures moral balance in the world in such a way that a person who exhibits good and moral behavior will eventually be rewarded, while evil and immoral actions will eventually be punished. Right? This is a type of cognitive bias that is deeply located in human psychology. It's shown in a lot of places. It comes up in religions. It comes up in the idea that everything happens for a good reason. So, let me just, like I said, I'm just sitting on my armchair here, psychologizing a little bit. I mean, what if the danger here was something along the lines of there are some people out there who kind of fall into this, who fall into the belief that if you're a good person, if you're a nice guy, by the way, if you want to know what that means, just go to Reddit r nice guys, and just look at the pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of examples of these guys they've labeled nice guys, who kind of they say basically it's just the same type of thing repeated again and again. I'm such a nice guy, but I don't get any women. Women kind of suck, don't they? Right? This is their logic, right? Like women go for the bad boys. I'm such a good person. Why do women always go for the guys who make them cry when they should go with the guys like me? And it's just endless. It's endless. And then some of them are just outright ugly. Like, it's just some guys like, hey, you look beautiful. I saw a picture of you naked, but I only looked at your eyes. I only look at your eyes because I treasure you like a beautiful queen, right? And she's like, oh, thanks. And he's like, what? You're not gonna talk to me more, you slut whore bitch, right? Like, okay, well, what if behind these nice guys too is this idea, is this cognitive bias known as the just world hypothesis, which is that they kind of view things like this, as almost like there's a grid of actions one should do, and if one does those things, one should be attractive to women. Should. Like, literally, if I'm exhibiting these nice guy qualities, so I should be attractive to women. And the reason I'm not is because, well, I don't know, they're immoral. They're the ones breaking the contract here. Here I am being a nice guy. So, I mean, what if awareness of this cognitive bias might be something key to deflating, or key to knocking out any harm that might come from this trope? What if coming to the awareness that just because you do a nice thing, or you're a nice person, or you've done something wonderful, you still might not get that happy life. And I mean, people do associate being fulfilled in sex and being fulfilled in love to being part of the good life, to having a good life. And maybe, I don't know, I really do think a lot of people just assume that, if you're a good guy, you'll be rewarded with a good life. And it just doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. So I don't know. This is my armchair psychologizing about the whole thing. I mean, I'm sure I could totally be just shown straight up wrong about this, by the way. I mean, we just took some of these nice guys and we tested them for just world beliefs. I'm sure this could be done. Like in a lab somewhere, we tested them for just world beliefs. You could literally prove me wrong here. But, I mean, I just throwing that out there. It's almost like a heuristic, something behind the scenes, and then it starts to make a little bit more sense. You know what I mean? Like, so somebody like this would just look at these games as kind of just going along with their logic, that good guys get good things happening to them in the end, right? They beat the bad guy and they get the girl. Of course, this applies to every single story where the guy gets the girl in the end. So, you know what I mean? Literally every single one, from Ghostbusters all the way up to anything, The Witcher. Die Hard, right? Die Hard, John McClane, he gets his wife back, right? I mean, literally anything could feed into the just world hypothesis. And That's it. We just need to be aware that this is simply a cognitive bias.
Totally.
It doesn't turn out this way.
What was all that about Socrates? Oh, right.
Yes.
No, sorry. Wrong.
Yeah. Video games though are, I think, perhaps a larger degree of awareness that might be required with video games, because video games are by structure a just world.
Because you're guaranteed an outcome, right? You're guaranteed some sort of outcome.
Yeah, and if I play well at Mario, I am guaranteed. I mean, play well as well enough to beat the game. I'm guaranteed to beat the game. It's not Mario's not going to suddenly get cancer on the last level and then die before I beat Bowser. Because the world of Mario is unjust. It is just because if I have that skill, I'm guaranteed to get it.
I would so play that game.
Mario dies of cancer?
Just before beating Bowser.
Yes. Well, if that is the strict outcome, then it's still a just world. If it's just randomly, on my playthrough through Mario, I got unlucky. Too bad I got hit by a car on my way to the first warp pipe, right? And my Mario career was over. Where I had such a promising Mario career until this random act of fate robbed of my Mario potential.
Yeah, there's no country for old Marios, is there?
Sadly, no.
The darkness keeps on getting darker. I mean, like, I guess that we talked for an hour, and our surprising conclusion is games aren't models of reality. The problem that's not what we're saying. We're saying you should be careful of taking games as models. See?
Yeah.
But we're subtle than that.
That's right. That's it right there. Be aware of cognitive bias.
Wow, it's a good thing that we read all that philosophy.
It's totally. That sure helped.
All that research. So I guess I don't know. I don't really have anything. I mean, I have small little nitpicks to say, but I mean, all they would be nitpicks. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, like, I think there's interesting distinctions to be made between an Elliot Rodger type of guy versus a guy that's catcalling on the street. I think those are interesting distinctions we can make. But
I also think there's a distinction to be made between a guy catcalling and a guy who expects sex after dinner too.
Yeah, but I mean, an Elliot Rodger guy.
Yeah.
And the catcaller. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, even catcallers.
I mean, okay. I suppose you're putting pre-murder spree Elliot Rodger up here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Right.
Post-murder spree.
Okay. Pre-murder Elliot Rodger.
Pre-murder. Okay, and there we go.
And then the catcaller or the groper or whatever. I mean, there's so many different motivations for catcalling and stuff. Like, you just can't just reduce it down to like, well, it's just simplicity. I mean, like, a lot of it is a lot of sadism. There's a lot of sadism going on.
I know. I don't know. I really do see a lot of it like that too. Like, it just is kind of perverse pleasure and annoying people.
Right. I mean, and that sadism doesn't stop with women. I mean, like, as soon as that woman goes away, I'm sure those guys are like knocking each other down, like, the same way. Right? They get off by knocking each other down. I mean, that's the kind of manly bonding. It's like, make this other guy look bad, and then we're just ribbing each other, right? I mean, like, this just continues all through the relationship. So there's a lot of, not to say, there's just a lot of different motivations for this.
Or even perhaps the people who are working out most of this, or at least looking out for most of this. Catcallers are not all these people who are trying to have this power over the person catcall. I think there is a subgroup of catcallers who, in all earnestly, believe this is a way to get positive attention. These people are just, they're completely misguided. But they're trying to make a good action. And for these people who are sorely misguided, if the media they consume is reinforcing this misguidedness, that's even the best intentions, they could end up doing things that are critically flawed.
Yeah, again, if this is all armchair psychology, yeah, I do think those people might exist, but I'd be willing. I don't know why. I'd be willing to put a lot of money down on. This is a bunch of sadism. Like it's a bunch of just picking on other people. Like I didn't like because women often say like, does that ever worked? Right? Like I said, that BuzzFeed had a whole video about that. But I mean, like, I think a lot of it is just about them. Like either they're trying to impress their buddies, who they're sitting with, or they're kind of they get off making other people feel uncomfortable because that's their sense of power, right? I wonder if they even care, right? Like, yeah, it'd be a bonus if that girl comes over that they're talking to, that woman, but I think a lot of it is just kind of getting off on dominating other people. I don't know, but again, these are questions with answers we can test, right? We can make tests and go into the world and find these answers. I could be wrong too, so. Again, please, people, investigate this stuff. I don't want to do it. I'm too lazy. Come on. Right? Maybe there's actually data out there, and I'm just too lazy to find it. So, anything else you want to say about Anita? We actually really went really broad today, but I don't know. I have nothing to say besides these broad things. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only other interesting thing I thought that what you said, Justin, was the thing about Mary and Double Dragon, right? Like,
yeah.
right, like the impossible interpretation of Mary, like the Lee brothers fight, and then she goes and kisses the victor.
Yeah.
But like, it could say that she's this kind of walking doll, like Himemia or something, without a soul, that just it goes to the victor, and she's the Rose Bride, and maybe he pulls a sword out of her later, and they fight duel for eternity or something. I don't know. That could be one interpretation. I love the other interpretation though. Marion is a total psychopath.
I know, right? I mean, you could just solely just interpret it as Marion is like this total psychopath, and she's just like lusting for the toughest guy who just killed his brother. Like, kill your brother. That really turned me on. He killed your brother.
Like, getting excited while they kill each other.
Yeah.
Oh man, he just killed his brother for me. Oh god. Marion is psychopath is kind of, I love that. It's kind of funny. That's another great headcanon. That gives her a lot of agency. She's a total psychopath.
And the whole time we've been fighting for this psychopath.
That is a really fucked up scene. Like, you're covered in the fresh blood of your brother, and this makes all want to kiss you.
I love you.
He's like, yeah, I can't. I don't know. Like, what is it? Like, she comes down from the chain. She's like, what just happened? He's like, he was evil, I guess.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, what is the excuse that's happening there?
Or maybe Marion is thinking, oh shit. Okay, this guy is insane. He just killed his brother. I'm just gonna kiss him and make him think I'm with him. Then we're gonna run away.
He's like, he's totally afraid of this psycho. All right, so I thought that was kind of funny just to think about. Just that last scene in Double Dragon, like, what the hell is really going on there? It is, wow, crazy stuff's going on there. Anything else anybody wants to say?
No.
No. All right. I'm pretty good too. I'm looking forward to Noel's further videos.
Me too.
He's got 2 more videos coming up, and I do enjoy his videos. So Noel, if you're listening, and there's no way in hell you are, you know it. Why would you listen to us? But yeah, looking forward to your videos, and thanks for being a pretty rational guy, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to more discussion on this. I don't know. I tune into all the videos. I watch as many as I can, so I can't wait to see if there are any new arguments up there. So I'll be watching.
Yeah. All right. So hopefully we didn't make too many waves here. And the comments, please leave comments or questions or many thumbs up. I'm sure you're all going to be thumbing it up. Other than that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's some kind of weird cognitive bias going on here.
Basically, what Dustin is trying to say is, we did a good job. So we had.
Yes. This is a just world, right? I mean. And,
Just we're on the ground.
isn't Just World 3 exactly what Nietzsche convicted Socrates of doing? That one-eyed monster, that Cyclops that destroyed Greek culture. All right, let's sign off before we get even further off topic.
Wow, it's a sudden Nietzsche quoting. I think we're done.
All right, see you next time for something a little different. Bye.
Bye.